Okay.
Finding the right people for the roles is one of our big pressure points. But I think with actually dealing with people, we're personally a very young organisation, only established in 2019.
Oh wow.
And we're made up of very young people.
What timing to start a company? 2019, 1 year later, blimey. Yeah.
So it started off with about 4 people in the organisation, and
Yeah.
this year we've got nearly 60 on the books, I think.
Oh wow, that is fast growth.
So it's a lot of growth. However, the service demand is increasing rapidly, and
Yeah.
we're struggling to keep up with it. So I think one of our main struggles is trying to communicate with people effectively when they've got an issue. So when a
Yeah.
staff member comes to you and they say, I'm struggling with this, we seem to hear them and we say, yeah, it's really tough, we know. Actually coming out with a response to help them, put an action plan in place is something we struggle with a little bit more.
So it sounds to me like you're very good at the sympathy side of things,
Yeah.
but it's having the empathetic response that they're looking for,
That's
as
it.
opposed to just being sympathetic.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Was that the main theme for your group?
Yeah, I think so. For the most part,
Yeah.
the end of the one will be
So-
giving people the answers rather than helping them find their own answers.
Yeah.
It's one of my problems.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little bit too easy to tell someone how to do it rather than actually get them to learn
Yeah.
to think how to problem solve, and obviously that bumps your own caseload up, doesn't it?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, that time that you take to invest in the development of staff can be incredibly time-consuming, can't it? But the payback later on. So yeah, it's finding that balance. Thanks very much for sharing, Georgie, Ashley, Scott, Will. We had 2 Wills. No, Bill. No, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone.
I've been called worse.
Yeah. Steve, I'm so sorry. I'll remember eventually. But come 5 o'clock, I'll have remembered everyone. Ladies.
Yeah, it's very similar to what Ashley's just said, obviously being in the same organisation.
Yeah.
We are growing at a rapid level as well, so with regards to recruitment, it is hard to find sometimes the right people.
Yeah.
And also to manage the people, because obviously everybody's different. Everybody, responds to being told, given feedback, this sort of thing.
Yeah.
They all respond differently. So you've got to adapt your personality almost to them, which sometimes you can struggle with. Again, talking about bias,
Yes.
your own
Yeah.
opinion might not always be the right way. And that's why we've got a good, I feel, we've got a good management, team that can do that bouncing off each other. Sometimes the right manager is in the group that should be dealing with that certain situation.
Yeah.
Everybody is different. So that's what I found from it. And what about you?
Yeah, same sort of thing really. Try to adapt to each staff member as we get bigger as an organisation, knowing what sort of, how they're going to react to in that conversation.
I was very proud of a phrase that I coined a couple of years ago. Leadership is a paradox. It's simultaneously the hardest and the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
From the easiest perspective, you've just got to find what motivates people and tickle that. But every individual is motivated in a different way, be that very subtly or be that very different. So how do we as leaders be authentic and consistent whilst treating people the way that they prefer to be treated? So so great points, thank you very much. Gents.
Surprising, actually, very similar. Again, it's understanding the needs of people and then at different levels.
Yeah.
You mentioned there, I have a range of clients that I have to try and have to manage their needs. You say you've got a range of employees, and that all their needs are different. And I think that was a common thing that we identified there. It's trying to identify each individual needs and then meet those. And I think from the course today, it's looking at maybe different ways of approaching things or understanding things so that we can have that engagement and then better meet the needs of people.
Great, so it sounds like everybody's after the same thing, which makes my life really easy. So thanks for that. It's almost as though I particularly chose you. So would you have any objection to getting up? Does anybody have any particularly movement difficulties? And I'm talking about nothing more than a hop or anything like that. Could I ask everybody to gather in just in pairs over here? There's 7 of you, so one of you will have the pleasure of joining me. if that can be called a pleasure.
Right, I don't take pictures for this one. Maybe just
So we're going to play 1, 2, 3. So does anybody want to?
I'll work with you, if that's all right.
So in pairs, so we will demonstrate for everybody. So I'm going to say number 1. You will then say 2.
Okay.
I will say 3, and then you will say 1. I'll say 2. You'll say 3.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll just practice.
Mhm.
So 1,
2,
3,
1,
2,
3,
1,
2.
3, and we just keep on going like that. That's level 1. So let's have practice at that first of all. So level 1 in our pairs, just see how far we can get.
Okay.
It's 3.
Yeah. So 1,
2,
3, 2, 1,
3,
2, 1, 3,
3, 1, 2, 3.
Oh God, I can hear everyone else.
You start this time. 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3. Right, I think level 1's okay.
I can just hear everyone else. I'm just like, what number am I on?
Yeah, this game is played outside. It's a shame. So level 2, we won't say the number 1. Instead, clap. Okay. So again, demonstration. So 2 and 3 remains exactly the same. Demonstration. So
2,
3, 2,
3, 2.
3. Yeah. Likewise. Okay. So let's see how far we can get. So you can start this time.
You go
2,
first.
Okay.
2,
3,
3,
2, 3, 2, 3, yeah. 3 got
You clapped and said one.
So,
That
anybody want to go level 3?
Oh, God.
So level 3. 3. So,
Okay.
shall I start? Shall we
Yeah,
start?
go
So,
for it.
3.
3.
3. Cool. Yeah. Right. 3.
I'll go first.
Okay.
3.
3.
3.
3.
3. 3.
3.
3.
Yeah.
Final level, expert level.
Oh,
Expert level. So, start with a clap, then we have a jump, and I just want your craziest dad dance move. Yeah.
We need examples of this.
Yeah.
So I should be number 1 then, because I won't make you dad dance in front of everybody.
Okay.
I'll embarrass myself.
Okay.
So,
Lovely.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Whatever comes to mind. Whatever comes to mind.
Right.
So you start.
I'll start. What is it?
I was going to go for the sprint.
Oh, that's a sweet one.
Do I have to do a different one?
Yeah. Right. Where were we? Shall we take a seat?
Oh God. Get up.
So, what on earth is the relevance of that in a communications related workshop? Did it make it worthwhile, did it? The whole afternoon was worth it, just to see my really good dancing. Yeah. Anybody wonder?
Because we were listening and well, because we were communicating, so
Yeah.
we were doing what we knew needed to happen next. Does that make sense? So
Yeah, that makes sense. So you know how to respond to a certain, whether it be like an instigator or a situation, you know what to happen. How many people got it wrong really quickly? Yeah, I've been facilitating this for a couple of years and I still can't get it right. Why do you think that is? So if we know what to do, what do you think it is that makes us go wrong so easily?
I found the more I thought about what I was supposed to do, the more it went wrong.
Oh, so you just didn't allow yourself to be natural.
Yeah, if it was just tried too hard or thought about it too much,
Yeah.
that's where it went wrong.
Does anybody find that if you're in a conversation, whether it be with a subordinate, a peer, or a member of your chain of command, sorry, I'm using military terms. I'll have to get used to it, won't I? But somebody in your line management, if you have to spend your time thinking about how to respond, you kind of lose the flow of the conversation. Why do you think that is?
Too busy planning the next thing rather than listening to what's in front of you.
Yeah. Has anybody been in a conversation with your line management where you just feel as though they're not listening? What kind of effect does that have on you? You get angry?
Depending on the situation.
It went straight to anger.
Yeah.
No, not just a little annoyed, went straight to anger. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah. Have you got, is there an example you're willing to share with us?
Quite generic.
Yeah.
Say, for example, if your boss thinks that something's gone wrong and thinks it's your fault, even though we don't do blame. And you're adamant that you could have done nothing until you found out about the situation to try and fix it.
Yeah.
But they're like hounding you, like, why have you let this happen? Why have you...
Yeah.
But you're not directly responsible for it, and
Yeah.
it's like you're not listening to me. What
It's
you're
like-
doing is getting angry with me, which is making me angry.
Just let me
Yeah,
speak for crying out
that's
loud.
it.
Yeah.
Get my side.
Yeah, and it's so frustrating, isn't it? So put yourself in your manager's position in a situation like that. How can we manage that situation that just allows the truth, the facts, and the way forward to come out?
Time, sometimes.
Time, it can do. Sometimes those difficult conversations can go on for a bit of time. Yeah. So a time where you're not having a meeting in 10 minutes. Yeah. What else could we do?
Stop and actually listen to them in the first place.
Yeah. There's a.
Jump to your own conclusions. Yeah.
Don't make assumptions. Yeah. Because those biases where we assign bias to everybody as humans, it's inbuilt in us. We can't help it. It's there, and we make assumptions about people on the minutest little things quite often. In the RAF, we've only recently, in the last couple of years, been allowed to grow beards. Right from the start, those people who grew beards were looked upon as lazy because they couldn't be bothered to shave. In my case, it was true, but yeah, a bias was applied straight away, and we do. So yeah, people make assumptions. What's the saying that was used to me? There's a reason why God gave you one mouth and two ears.
So you can listen twice as much.
Correct. Sometimes the best thing that we can do as leaders is just shut up. Just ask the question and allow it to come. Yeah. Thank you very much. Is anybody else, any other reasons why that was relevant?
Maybe rushing.
Rushing? What do you
Yeah.
mean by that?
Well, like in the situation we've just done, you're rushing to try and get to the next one, so you're not too slow, but
Yeah.
then actually you're not listening properly to what's being said.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes you can be like rushing to find an answer before you've actually heard the whole problem. You think, oh, actually, that's not the issue. This is the issue.
Yeah.
This is what I need to solve, not that.
Yeah. It sounds to me a fairly similar way to resolve that, similar to what we discussed earlier, wasn't it? Just allowing that time, maybe keeping quiet. Who found the other people in other groups really distracting? I know Georgie did. It's like, I think it was level 2. All of a sudden, I got a scream in my ear. Yeah. So how can we mitigate that? Because for all love in the world, sometimes we just don't have private office spaces, do we? We don't have private conversations to cut out all those distractions. We work in big communal offices. So what can we do in order to be able to have these real in-depth conversations that sometimes we need to have as leaders, but not allow other distractions to get in the way.
Take yourself away from the environment you're in. I mean, it's quite easy for us.
It is.
We have lots of meeting rooms.
Yeah.
We've got a car park,
Yeah.
which is literally our fire door, so we have to go outside, have a quick smoke and have a chat at the same time kind of thing. So I think for us it's quite easy to do that.
Yeah, and you can arrange a time with the person as well.
Yeah.
Whatever. And if they're not in the office physically, sometimes that can be the case. You know,
Yeah.
set up a Zoom, Skype, but like Ashley said, take some time outside, just change the environment that you're in.
It makes a massive difference, that, doesn't it? Has anybody ever had a walking meeting before? So you have a meeting, but you go out for a walk. So
Oh,
yeah. Ooh. Sorry, my mind's just going. I was first introduced to this idea of a walking meeting about 3 years ago, and I was like, what? Hang on, we need to have a meeting, but we're going out for a walk. But actually, it was probably the most powerful meeting that we had. It was this beautiful grounds, this old country, it was IBM down in Winchester, their offices down there, and they've got some gorgeous grounds. And there was about 6 of us on the team, and the team leader wanted to get to the bottom of a problem that we needed to solve. We just went out for a walk in the grounds. And I tell you what, the creativity of just getting out of an office environment, getting rid of all those distractions, just being able to have a conversation. But there's science behind that idea of personal space. So if somebody's looking directly at you, it can feel quite intimidating, can't it? Whereas having that open space, so you're just going out for a walk and having that open space in front of you, just allows people to relax and just be themselves. So yeah, a change of environment can be massive. We're always tempted, aren't we, to stay behind our desk because we've got 100 emails that need to be responded to, and we've got another meeting in 20 minutes time that we need to rush to, and things like that. I can see some smirks at the top of the table there. It's hard work, isn't it? But finding that time to have those conversations and just getting rid of those distractions can be really, really important. Does anybody have any questions before we move on? Any challenges, any queries? Maybe any stories that they want to share? No? Cool. So if you can split down into a group of 4 and a group of 3 for me, please. On the table is a tin of story cubes. And I'm going to pose you a question and ask you to use the story cubes to come up with an answer as a group. Story cubes and Lego. Has anybody used these as learning aids before? 2 of my favourite things, absolute favourite, because they link left brain to right brain. So you apply logical thought process in a creative manner. So I will pose the question. There's 9 dice in there. You give them a shuffle and let them land as they will. Whatever picture is face up, you use that picture and you arrange them however you want in order to be able to use those pictures to tell a story to answer the question. Does anybody want to ask any clarifying questions on how to do that?
Maybe once we see the dice.
There's a term called thinkering, which is basically you tinker as you think. So thinking and tinkering. And what that means is you just start moving things. If you sit back and think about it, you'll sit back and think about it forever. You just start moving things, something will apply to somebody. So just dive in there. So the question that I'm going to ask you is how to create an effective environment that will allow good conversation. So you have 5 minutes, 4 or 3. Please use the cubes.
Should we go for a 3 again?
Yeah.
Before?
Yeah, so how to create a good environment for effective communication.
Well, I'm glad these guys don't have numbers on.
Just been recording myself fiddling with me.